Peach's lovely old R75/5 up on the bench, which I've had on here for a service for him, and when I drained the oil out of the drive shaft housing to change that, I discovered that the plug was stripped, which is quite a common, or not an unusual occurrence on older BMWs where they've got oil in the drive shaft. So what I'm going to do today is take the final drive off and repair the thread. So I've got the wheel out, and I've got the bike strapped down at the front on the bench. So without further ado, I'll start taking the... It's quite a simple operation to get the final drive out. So wheels out, disconnected the rear brake, and now I'm going to loosen off the rear damper. And so we've got 17mm fastener here. We've got another 17mm fastener at the top. Of course, the oil's already drained out of the final drive and out the drive shaft housing. So I did that earlier. So we'll just lay that down, and then we've just got 4 bolts on the final drive itself, or 4 nuts, should I say, on the final drive. To remove that, it's very straightforward. So once you've got all 4 bolts undone, then you can slip the final drive out backwards like that. It comes off very easily. You might find it's a little bit sticky on the shaft housing where the gasket attached might hold it on. This came off quite easily. I'm just taking the damper off now. You don't need that on there. So there's the offending item. As you can see, the thread's pretty well stripped out. Somebody glued the plug in, and there's the old plug, and they'd actually taken a leaf out of, they must have been an ex-Triumph owner, because I've seen this done before on Triumph gearboxes, Triumph motorcycle unit twin gearboxes, probably pre-units as well, where there's actually a pipe sticking out this end of the plug. This one's been drilled through and tapped to put a 6mm bolt in there. On the old Triumphs, so a similar thing is done, and there's a pipe sticking out, and it's a stand pipe that goes up through the bottom of the gearbox like that, and the pipe comes up to a certain height, and that's your oil level. You take that centre bolt out and fill the gearbox up with oil until it starts to dribble out, and that's how you know your level's correct. So anyway, it must be a ex-Triumph owner who's done that, drilled that and put a plug in there, and then they glued this bolt in, and that would have been the way of changing the oil. Well, of course, I didn't even see that when I took that plug out, and I probably wouldn't have twigged why they'd done it. So they glued this in with Araldite. We're going to do a proper repair. So there's the stripped hole. Going to use a time insert to do that. Now, this is not as straightforward an issue as it first looks. It's not just a case of drilling and putting an insert into this. One of the problems is that we've got here this little ledge here. That's a steel ring, and that's a ring that holds an oil seal in place. Any of you that have seen my video on doing some work on my GS final drive knows that this is a seal carrier, and this is a similar item, not the same final drive setup, but it's a similar item, so that needs to come out. To get that out, this nut needs to be undone, and so that pinion needs to be gripped, and to do that I've got this tool. This is the pinion holding tool. It slips over the pinion like that and is prevented from rotating so that I can undo that nut. Fortunately, being a member of the UK BMW club, I've been able to borrow that from the club. They have a good stock of special tools, because this isn't part of my toolkit, so I don't normally work on R75/5s. And in addition to that, we need this castellated socket to undo the oil seal carrier. It's exactly the same one as I use on my GS, so that's my own tool. That's tool part number 3331-700. That seems to do all the seal carriers on Airheads. This tool is part number 331650. So that's the pinion holding tool for undoing the pinion nut. So I'm just knocking this tab back with the hammer and chisel. The tab was folded down both sides, and then I've got to undo this nut after putting this lock on here. Okay, so that was quite tight. So just undo that. Take the nut off. Take the lock tab off. Take the tool. Take the drive spline off. And there you go. So now we've got to undo that ring, and that may require some heat. So I'm just warming the casing up to undo that ring. Okay, so I've got that good and hot now, and it's undone quite easy. So there's the seal carrier. It'll be pretty hot, so I'll pull that out with a pair of pliers, I think. Here it is. So this is my thread repair kit of choice. Time Cert, which is made by Worth. The inserts are not exactly the same thread as the plug. These inserts are M12 by 1.75, and the plug thread is actually M12 by 1.5. so I've also bought some stainless steel bolts that 1.75 pitch. What we need to do is to first of all drill out the hole, and then we'll cut a slight recess, and tap the hole and then fit the insert. There we go, and we're through. Next part in the procedure is to use this recess cutter to cut down a slight recess for the insert to fit in. I don't want to go too far with this. There is a limit to how far the tool will let you go in, and I think I'm just about on that limit. Okay. So now I'm going to use the tap to cut the thread. Right, I'm just going to spray some cutting oil onto here. Aluminium tears quite easily, so, and unfortunately I don't have, neither of my tap handles are big enough, so I'm going to have to use a spanner. Got to get these you've got to get a tap to start right pretty early on. If you go in cockeyed, it stays cockeyed, and that can be a disaster. Once you start cutting, you want to turn the tap back and knock the swarf off. As you turn the tap back, you'll feel a bit of resistance, and once you overcome the resistance, that's knocked the swarf off. You don't want to keep turning a tap all the way the same way, so around a turn back, that's the point where you can feel it just touching, and you knock that back just to cut the swarf off, and then go forward again and go around once more. Back. back, back, more lube on there, back, pretty much through now, so I'll just carry on winding the tap in. You can see it's going in very easily. So we've taken the cut now. So there you can see we've cut the new thread, so we'll just clean the swarf off there and then see how the insert fits. So my main concern here is to get a good oil tight seal down these threads. So I'm just cleaning this new thread with some methylated spirit to degrease it. Just give that a good wipe over with a cotton bud. And I'm also going to degrease the thread insert. So with again some spirit. And then I'm going to apply some thread lock and sealer. This will mechanically lock into place anyway with this tool. So I'll screw that down. And this will pass through the insert, and in doing so lock it into place. I wanted that thread lock on there mostly just to seal the thread rather than to act as a thread locker, because as I say, doing this mechanically locks the insert into position. So there it is in position, one new thread, and being a steel insert, that is much less likely to strip. Okay, so just going to press a new seal into position. And I'll just use the vise to do that. Okay, make sure you put the seal in the right way round. Just a drop of oil on the lip of the seal, and now I'm just going to screw the seal holder into position. So the torque wrench setting is 106 to 130 Newton meters. So I've set the torque wrench at 118. So that's that in. Next will be the pinion gear, or clutch as they call it. Again, I'll put a drop of oil on there just to make sure the seal is lubricated. That can sit in there. Put the lock washer on. And the nut. The locking flange in position. Okay, so we'll just do that up. And so the pinion nut torque I'm going to do up to 144. It's actually 128 to 159, so we'll set it at 144. There we are. I'm just going to clean up these faces now and put a new gasket on and reassemble it. course, mustn't forget to lock the bend the tabs over on the lock tab. Okay, there we are, ready to go back on. Okay, so I'll put the damper back on. So I've just slid this into position and held it in place with a nut. Just got to line up the clutch splines, so I'm just going to put a nut on there. So I've made a new stainless steel drain plug, putting a new washer on. These drain plugs should only be torqued up to about 11 foot-pound. That's why they get stripped, because people over tighten them. Notorious for getting stripped, these. There we go. Just filling the drive shaft. Now just filling the final drive. So topped up the final drive, just neat that filler plug, and then put the wheel on. And nip up the pinch bolts. Put the brake arm on. That's it, job done. Give that a road test and take it for its MOT.